Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Gears 5, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 2-5. It is entitled Dirtier Little Secrets, which is an allusion from Gears of War 2, in which that title had a similar title called Dirty Little Secrets, and it was a chapter related to a Niles section. I'm not sure where in the campaign it was, but that is the reference there in case you're curious. So this chapter has some fights that are pretty challenging, and then it also has a boss fight with the matriarch. So if you are having troubles on her, hopefully after you watch my videos those troubles will cease. But in the beginning here, I'm just using cloak to run a little bit faster, just to let you know. And it's kind of pointless when you're when you're following Niles and he's being your tour guide, because you have to wait for Niles anyway, so it's not really that useful to have cloak on. But keep the shock traps on for now, and I'll tell you at which point you might want to switch to the flash, because the flash is a good tool for one of the fights that's coming up. And I wanted to mention something, because I find this particular Gears of War game, even though it's just called Gears 5, I find it interesting in the fact that one person's insane difficulty campaign can differ from another person's insane difficulty campaign. Not from, like, I know you can have different weapons than somebody and you would have an advantage, but I'm talking about whether you upgrade or not. Because if you go through the game and you do all the upgrades and you get all of your, all the components, buy everything, and use all the abilities all the time, it's going to be objectively more difficult to go through the game and just play it on insane difficulty with none of the upgrades. So that's the first time that that's happened in a Gears of War game, that one person's experience can differ in that kind of respect, which is pretty extreme. I mean, it's not just somebody having different weapons, and then, because in all the other games you don't have abilities like freezing people and getting stim and things like that. So I found that interesting, though, and I really did. And it kind of piques my interest in doing a campaign on a harder difficulty if they decided to release, because last time they released a difficulty called Inconceivable Difficulty, and I have a guide for it on my channel, but I don't remember how long it took them to release that, whether it was like a year. I think it was like at least a year. So don't give up hope yet. I'm not giving up hope. This isn't my favorite Gears game for sure, but I would definitely not mind trying it on a harder difficulty without the use of abilities, to see how it would play, because it would probably play quite differently, and it would definitely be harder, just without question. Just stim alone. It might not be fun, though. That's the thing too. Even if something's hard, if it's still fun and it gives you enjoyment, there's nothing that would prevent me from doing it except those two issues. That main issue, but the other issue would be I don't enjoy this game when I'm on the skiff. I just don't. It isn't that bad. I mean, it's not like the car in Arkham Knight. It's not like that, but I guess maybe it's because I did the side missions that I think Acts 2 and 3 are perhaps excessively bloated. Probably, and that's a good thing, because that would give me hope that I would want to do an Inconceivable guide. I'm never doing an insane guide without doing the upgrades. I'm not playing this on insane again. If I do another campaign in this game, it has to be another difficulty. So if they don't release it, this is the only one that I'm going to make. So you finally get a Retro Lancer over here, but it really isn't even worth getting, because you're going to be stripped of your weapons, I believe. I mean, I know. Was I stripped of mine? I think I was. You just get your sidearm coming up, and you only fight 2 enemies on this mission. You fight locust drones in the laboratory, and then you fight You fight the matriarch. I'm sorry, you fight the sires after that. And weapons, going through this chapter, the only thing you should care about, there is one instance where you can get a long shot. There's Nashers, but the Retro Lancer is like the best choice here. You can come into this mission with really good weapons. In fact, I do right now, don't I? Don't I have a Lancer GL on my back? Isn't that what that is? I think so. But it doesn't matter. They take your weapons away from you. So there are things that you should know, though. Like right now, or before you get to the next area, and definitely before the game saves the checkpoint, you want to have the flash on. And then I'm gonna be constantly reminding you of what you should be having. For instance, on the boss, you'll definitely want to have as many grenades, and I mean 4. Just have 4 without question. I'll show you where they are. And if you want, you can bring a cryo cannon into the boss room. We're going to be dealing with the matriarch with those, and with flash as well. So I will give you advance warning of what to do so that you don't get too inconvenienced by not having the right thing on. And I know it sounds a little pretentious of me to say the right thing. On these 2 enemies, though, time it so that you freeze both of them. The other one's right around the corner there. You can freeze both of them. One of them rushes you, and he may have had, I think, what did he have? Did he have a pipe? Is that his pipe? No, I don't know. But there will be these drones here. They do rush you, the ones with the shotguns. And this is a room too that has a long shot. So if you want a long shot, you can have it. This is not a long shot level though, so it's not going to help you very much to have that. Feel free to have it as something extra though, if you want. But they definitely want you to have a challenge here because of those rushers, and it's just that thing that I come back to of, if you're not using abilities, like, it would be difficult to deal with that first guy that rushed us. You don't have the luxury of freezing people on a no ability run. So is it just going to be brutal and not fun, or is it going to be brutal and challenging and kind of fun and rewarding? I just don't think it's going to be the latter. I just don't, because I've played this game, and I've gone through it on Insane, and it's not that it's hard, but it was built for those abilities, and it was designed for stim and things like that. But there's no way that it's not possible. So it's just going to be a little rougher ride. Because I use stim all the time. I use shock traps all the time. My go-to 2 abilities, if you're curious, are the shock traps and the stim. If I have those 2 on, I'm very comfortable. Unless something requires me to change that. So right before this fight, like I mentioned, have flash on, and just keep it on for right now, because you will have to. Actually, let me see. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine for now. If you want to switch back to the shock traps, you can. I probably would actually advise that, because the majority of the fights I'm going to be dealing with them with the use of shock traps. Shock traps are kind of like the mines in Dead Space. They're ways to set up things before a fight even starts to minimize how much you have to do and how hard a fight is. But I like doing that because it's very helpful for folks, and they're in the game and it's an ability, and I like the thought of setting up things so that enemies have a hard time dealing with what you've done to fell them before they even come into existence. But look at that. That's nice, right? You often get killed doing that. Well, the first one you can get away with that, but the second one, this guy can sometimes kill you. So I didn't die on this either. Well, I mean, this time, this was a chapter video redux. I died plenty on it before, but coming back to this for my redux, I did not die over here, so there's no edit. Now be careful though, and I would recommend having the flash on throughout this fight though, because you're gonna have guys coming up to you, and those ones, they don't mess around. They have the shotguns, and at the beginning though, when Jack is going through the vent, the fight does start, and you don't have access to Jack until about 45 seconds into the fight. After the second one of those drones whose throat I slit, right after that, Jack is available to use. Like, not immediately after that, but in a few moments after that. See, that guy, if I hadn't done that, he would have come right up to me with that shotgun. So probably I should have not used the shock trap, because it's taking a long time for it to regenerate, and I could have used a shock trap. I mean, sorry, just the regular old flash. And those fights can be challenging, definitely. We're going to be dealing with sires next, so it's your choice what you want to have. I would recommend seriously going in there with the shock traps. And yeah, I saw that snub on the ground. I don't like the snub. I just don't like it at all. But you see where I'm aiming right now? That is where the long shot is. Break that body and you'll get the long shot. And all the fights in this chapter are close quarters, and then there's the boss fight. So, and then of course that's close quarters. There's a component over here. It's a little tricky to get because you've got conflicting things to pick up over there. But when you get over here, this is where the fight begins, and you're going to be dealing with the sires. In fact, there's only 2 more fights before the boss. So on this sire fight, there's a lot of sires, and they can overwhelm you. So it's a good idea to place traps to slow them down and kill them so that you don't have to do much work. You can't stealth kill them like you can the drones. So if they pop out of the tube, you can't go behind them and stealth them. They won't let that happen. You can impale them with the bayonet charge if you want to. And I do apologize if I'm waiting around sometimes for this to regenerate, but that regeneration time is really good. So I wish it was like that for the whole game, but that is where they come from at first, right over there. And flash, definitely, just from, well, I'm gonna switch to the shock traps after, but flash is helpful. But the impale is hit or miss. It's really disappointing. But on the boss, just make absolute sure to avoid the most frustration to have 4 grenades, to have the retrolancer. That's, you know, you don't even need a gun, but have those grenades and have the flash on, and stim. It's absolutely essential. And you can use all 4 grenades here if you want to. There's more, and it's up to you if you want to carry a cryo cannon into the boss arena. It's just one more laying around, so it could be helpful. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. You know, I'm not here to force anything on anybody. But I put a couple of grenades down, and we'll see how much they work. But I just wanted to mention that the matriarch is a shitty boss, and it's not fun, it's not enjoyable. But if you do it the way that I'm going to show you, it actually is pretty fun, because you can do it your way and you don't have to mess around with dodging her, because she's like a bus, a big fat wide bus that charges at you. It's very difficult to escape her charge and not get killed. It's really bad. And the game also wants you to drop her in the lake, so don't even worry about that. We're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it the better way, definitely. So I'm going to put my shock traps back on over here. And there is one cutscene coming up, and I think I had a cryo cannon over here or something. No, I didn't. Maybe, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Just make sure when you're. I'm going to be grenade. We're going to grenade tag the matriarch. Okay, so this is the last fight, but after it, just make sure you switch back to the flash. There's going to be enemies dropping out of the test tube, so what we're going to do is drop down some shock traps. I hate that. Why can't you go into cover on that? It's things like that that really bother me. That is definitely somewhere where someone would go up against it. So I'm going to do an expedient process of grenade tagging her, but each time we tag her, we're going to put 2 on her. So we'll have should have 3 sessions of tagging and a little pelting of the Retrolancer at first, and she should be going down. Because it's a badly made fight, and it's badly designed too. Because some of the narrative story actually is forced upon you during the fight. And when that happens, you can tell because the lights go out and you can hear the matriarch. Oh shit, did you see this? Look what happens. They grab you and they take you away. And I'm tapping on the B button like a madman. And I don't know how I got out. I don't know how I got out of this. Because it looks like she hit him or something. But I don't know. I really don't know. Did he get frozen? Or Dell wasn't around, was he? Did Jack help? I have no clue. But that's what happens. And you hardly ever survive that. They really need some improvement on their QuickTime events. Because you can tap that button like crazy, and there's no feedback for it, and it's just ridiculous. Oh, this is where I lose a cannon, because there's a cutscene over here, I think. No, I don't. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Now, the place where you can get frag grenades is right over here. So if you've used all of your frag grenades, just make sure that you don't forget to pick these up. Make sure you've got flash on. I hate to sound like I'm just nagging, but I just want to make sure you avoid the frustration of having to reset from an earlier area. I'm only pausing here just to make sure I've got everything set. And I thought the cryo cannon had more than 100, but it just has 100 for its ammunition. So we're going to go right into this fight, and immediately I'm just going to drop the cannon, run up to her, try to get an active so I get a faster fire rate for the Retrolancer, and just pelt it in his back. And then the flash and the cryo cannon both serve the same purpose, to freeze it. You have to freeze this thing, and then go up to it. If you don't have the regeneration done, you have to use the cryo cannon, or just you know, get out of the way. But see, we're going to pelt her, and then we're going to freeze her with the cryo cannon. And bear in mind, it's a pretty long process, so you need to start early. And then when it flails a little bit, drop the cannon, go up to it, put a grenade, and activate stim, put the second one on, and then roll away. The explosion of the second one, well, you'll be protected by that, by the stem, okay? And now I've got, see, usually this takes a long time to get to this process, but now I can't do that grenade tagging process unless I have the flash and the stem on board. So I've got to come over here and get a cryo cannon. If he puts you in a corner, or she puts you in a corner, just put, turn her to ice like this. See, I have nothing, I can't really do anything here, so I have to freeze her and then just run away. You want to stick to the sides of the wall and make sure she can't do a direct line over to you. And you can get 2 more grenades from a pickup over here. I'll show you right where it is, right here. So all you need is the 4 that you come in with, and then 2 more. And just don't do the strategy on the lake, because she'll fall into the lake and it won't work properly. So now we don't need the cryo cannon because our abilities are cooled down, so we don't need it. So I'm gonna do the same strategy, or sorry, the same process. Grenade, stem, grenade, roll away. And now my flash needs to recharge. Oh, I'm sorry, both need to recharge. And she's probably going to trap me in this corner again, so that's why I've got to have the cryo cannon over here. I'm clicking in the left stick to see if I can spot her, because I don't want her charging at me. Here she is. I'm about to freeze her. I'll probably drop the cannon and just run past her and just pick up another cannon, or just wait out my regeneration. But just make sure you have a backup plan. You know, if your regeneration is not going to work, make sure you have a cryo cannon in your hands. And this should be the last of it. So that's the strategy, and it makes for a more enjoyable fight, and you won't, you know, have too many problems. And I want to thank you. Hope the boss fight wasn't too difficult. Hope the chapter in total wasn't too difficult either. And I hope everything worked out for you. Okay? So I will see you in the next video. Please take care.